bullets. These are missiles, yeah? These are fucking missiles. I'm 100% this is, yeah? We're going in here 100%. I'm going into this fight 100% Conor McGregor, not 92. 100% Conor McGregor. So it has to be really meticulous. We were right there with the last one. As a unit, we do it, right?
And he wanted on the White House. Now, for Conor McGregor to be on the White House, Conor McGregor wants $100 million and he wants 100 golden visas. So Conor's essentially saying, you need me on the White House and you're going to pay to get me on the White House. To do something that 745 people would do for free. He's essentially asking for $200 million. Conor on that stuff, man.
Conor McGregor is stepping into the octagon at the White House, and the chaos surrounding who he's actually fighting is absolutely insane. We're talking about the most prestigious venue in American history, hosting what could be the biggest combat sports event ever conceived, and nobody can agree on the opponent. Dana White is playing chess while everyone else is stuck playing checkers. But the behind-the-scenes drama reveals something way bigger than just another fight announcement. This isn't just about McGregor's comeback anymore. This is about the UFC making a political statement that could change combat sports forever.
This Conor. Brother Conor is too old, bro. He's finished. Salam alaikum.
Here's where everything gets wild. McGregor himself dropped the bombshell that he's stepping into this fight as 100% Conor McGregor, not 92%, but fully committed. And you know what that means? This isn't some half-hearted comeback attempt. This isn't him showing up out of shape like we've seen before. He's talking about being a weapon, a flawed weapon that batters rivals, but he's engineering his return with laser focus. The man who knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, who became the first simultaneous two-division champion, is claiming he's found that killer instinct again. But here's the kicker: multiple sources are saying the original plan was completely different from what we're hearing now.
The biggest thing on social media now, everyone's talking, that Chandler's out and Masvidal's in, and it's Conor and Masvidal.
You know what's funny? So in my algorithm on Instagram, I have nothing MMA.
Right?
Literally nothing MMA pops
Well,
up.
mine's politics. That's my...
Yeah, mine's definitely, there's some politics, but yeah, I don't listen to any of the goofy
No.
that goes, no.
Is that considered goofy?
That's goofy shit. Yeah. The MMA world, I don't listen to any of that. So literally none of that.
Now listen to this part because it changes everything. Ariel Helwani just dropped exclusive intel that the initial White House bout was supposed to be McGregor versus Justin Gaethje. Not Masvidal, not Chandler, but Gaethje. And get this, it's not happening because McGregor flat-out refuses to cut down to 155 pounds. We're not talking about a guy who can't make weight. We're talking about a former champion who's essentially telling the UFC that those days are over. Helwani stressed this isn't speculation or rumors. This is concrete information from people in the know. McGregor has listed various factors beyond just the weight cut, and he's made it crystal clear that any bout at lightweight is completely off the table.
My team, they put together, we come up with a whole plan for production, how it's going to work. My head of production, Craig Borsari, has been working with the White House, for a couple months now, and they build this video rendering of like every tree that's on the property and all this stuff. It's exactly the way it is. We can literally the sun, how the sun will hit the seats at certain times, what it'll look like when it's dark.
Crazy.
This is going to be so badass.
Yeah,
it is, and it's a one of one in our lifetime to be able to do something.
But wait, it gets worse. While McGregor is drawing his line in the sand about weight classes, Jorge Masvidal has been playing a completely different game. Michael Bisping pointed out something crucial that everyone's missing. Masvidal has been consistently present at political rallies and among Trump's inner circle, making him the obvious choice for a White House event. This isn't just about fighting credentials anymore. This is about political optics and who fits the narrative they're trying to build. Masvidal has been positioning himself as the perfect candidate for months, showing up at the right events, saying the right things, and now he's brushing off McGregor's power while calling himself a level above.
Look at Jorge Masvidal and the career that he's had, and then you remember Jorge Masvidal has been a massive supporter of Donald Trump.
And here's where the real drama unfolds. Dana White came out and firmly stated he has no familiarity with the MMA gossip swirling around social media, and that he doesn't take rumors seriously. But sources close to the situation reveal that the UFC has been collaborating extensively with the White House for months to arrange every single detail of this production. We're talking about highly precise visual models for the entire venue, factoring in everything from the layout of the grounds to how light and shadow affect the seating and atmosphere. This level of preparation doesn't happen for speculation. This level of coordination means something massive is definitely going down.
So certainly
Graces of the Trump family, right? And they're the kind of people that they're going to want at the White House. Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal. That'll be a sensational matchup. Michael Chandler, of course, losing to Paddy Pimblett the way that he did. And then, of course, when you look at the majority of fights that he's lost, okay, it doesn't really put him in too good of a standing.
Hold up, did you catch what's really happening here? While everyone's debating opponents, Arman Tsarukyan just threw a wrench into everything by stating he wants solely the top prize, or Conor McGregor. He won't enter the cage without a championship opportunity, and if McGregor isn't on the opposing side, then it's a complete non-starter. Tsarukyan boldly called himself Conor's nightmare and claimed the UFC would never arrange the fight due to how much danger he represents. Meanwhile, Michael Chandler is refusing to let Dana White's dismissive remarks end his hopes for a McGregor fight, viewing himself as the most logical choice and staying ready for whatever comes next.
All the yes men, if you get rid of all the distractions and you get in the gym, it's not unthinkable to think that Conor McGregor could get just some.
But here's the kicker that nobody's talking about. This White House event is scheduled for June 14th, America's 250th birthday, and the political implications are staggering. Ali Abdelaziz weighed in on the prospect of McGregor versus Geithj at this historic venue, recognizing McGregor's former brilliance, but pointing out both fighters are at similar career stages. He stressed the importance of keeping everything appropriate for the White House setting. But if this bout happens, we're looking at two elite strikers potentially at their career apex on the biggest stage imaginable. The problem is, with Eddie refusing lightweight and multiple contenders throwing their names in the hat, this whole situation is becoming a political and promotional nightmare.
all 2006.
The Alvarez, the one-punch knockout over Jose Aldo, right? The rise through the UFC. It was like nothing the sport had ever seen before. And then, of course, combined with the brashness and the trash talk and all the rest of it, and the swagger and the confidence that he had, and the humor and the one-liners, you put it all together, the man became the biggest star that the sport's ever seen. 4 years away, I think it is, or 5 years, whatever it is, it's been a long time, and he broke his leg, but he's back training, he's back in the gym, and I tell you what, right, me and McGregor, we've gone head to head, we've talked a bit of shit over the years, but you can't deny the talent the man had, and if he locks in and he's disciplined, you can get almost back to that.
Listen to this part because it reveals everything. Despite all the speculation and social media frenzy, the real issue isn't who McGregor fights, it's whether he can recapture the magic that made him the biggest star in combat sports history. We're talking about the man who climbed to the top with that Eddie Alvarez title victory, who delivered the single-strike knockout of Jose Aldo, who combined bravado and quick wit with devastating finishing ability. If McGregor dedicates himself fully in the gym, it's entirely possible he could reach the peak condition that transformed him into a UFC superstar. But that's a massive if, considering his recent track record and the distractions surrounding his career.
They come because we've seen on the internet you versus McGregor. Dana White stated that he's no longer interested in McGregor versus Chandler. So then all of a sudden this report comes out, and I'm wondering, does it have legs? Does it have traction? Is it a possibility?
You never know, right? Shit, give them what they want, not what they expect. I can say some big news. I'll have some fight news coming soon, and it's very big news. And I can't deny or confirm what you just said, you know?
Yeah.
You just gotta let the chips fall where they may, but definitely some big news headed towards.
Now get this, because the business angle makes everything clear. Multiple industry insiders are suggesting that regardless of opponent, this White House fight represents something unprecedented in combat sports history. We're not just talking about another pay-per-view event. We're talking about legitimizing mixed martial arts at the highest levels of American political power. The venue alone changes everything about how this sport is perceived globally. But with all the uncertainty surrounding opponents, weight classes, and political considerations, Some people are wondering if this entire spectacle is more about the show than the actual competition.
You're talking about everybody else but me, because he knows I'll snipe his ass quick. That little lucky left shit he does ain't gonna work with me, a premium striker, brother. I'm gonna see that shit a mile away and slap him in the face. You know, so I don't think versus Brandon ever would have been good. I'm gonna beat the fucking dog shit out of him, straight up stand-up style.
Are you surprised?
None of that grappling. I'm just gonna get in your face, knee your ribs, elbow your fucking face. It's gonna be a fight, man.
Are you surprised, Jorge, that he's moving on, Dana White is, from the Chandler fight? Because it's been like 2.5 years in the making. They were supposed to fight 2 summers ago. Like, are you surprised that he was that dismissive of it in that interview?
I mean, Chandler's a big name in the sport. He's a huge name and stuff. So I don't know how close it was to begin with to being on the White House card. If that was all speculation from the start, or at one point the UFC did want that fight, I don't know all these things. You know, it's just I know that they have a very in-depth team. That they have a guy that counts comments when somebody gets a picture. They have another guy that's looking at just the algorithm. They're having an in-depth team of who's going to make the biggest noise possible. And I'm sure they run it through that team and they're going to decide, you know. If you ask me, obviously it should be me.
So here's where we stand right now. McGregor claims he's fully committed and training harder than ever. Masvidal is positioning himself as the politically perfect opponent while downplaying McGregor's abilities. Gietzsch was supposedly the original choice, but got scrapped due to weight issues. Chandler refuses to give up hope despite Dana's dismissive comments. Sarakian demands a title shot or McGregor, nothing else. And through all this chaos, the UFC is quietly coordinating with the White House on what could be the most significant combat sports event in American history. One thing's absolutely certain, though. Whoever steps into that octagon with McGregor will be part of something that transcends fighting and enters the realm of pure spectacle and political theater.
I'm going to share inside information with you, but the plan, right? Everything's a little loose, but the plan, the operating plan was that Conor McGregor at the White House would fight Justin Gaethje. So it was also a belief. One thing Conor does not want to do, and again, this is not speculation. I'm protecting my source, but telling you, giving you some real information here, accurate. One thing Conor does not want to do is go down to 155 pounds. And he doesn't want to do it for a number of reasons, and none of which bigger than just going, why? What for? Like, that's not what this is about. It doesn't matter what this weight class is. Okay. And I'm very confident in telling you that Conor will not go down.
He confirmed that at this time,
So there you have it. The most anticipated comeback in MMA history is turning into a political circus with multiple contenders, weight class drama, and venue coordination that's never been attempted before. This isn't just about McGregor's return anymore. This is about the UFC making a statement on the world's biggest stage while navigating political optics, fighter demands, and logistical nightmares that would make most promoters run for the hills. And honestly, whether this fight happens as planned or completely falls apart, we're watching something historic unfold in real time. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Who do you think actually ends up fighting McGregor at the White House? Or do you think this whole thing is too ambitious to pull off? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind all the speculation and social media noise, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this story is far from over and things are about to get even crazier. I'll see you in the next one.
Here right now, Gaethje McGregor is still on the table. And I think that should be pulled. I do not believe that Conor should walk into a title fight, but moreover, I will tell you, and Conor will too, he's not going to 155. Now, the promotion does not yet have that through their head. They are still pushing for Conor and 155. This is all extremely accurate information. So I think there's a lot of options for McGregor. I really think that if it's not him versus Chandler, it should be. We really should look at that. We fans were promised a certain fight. We fans have been pretty damn patient. And I don't know that side was considered. And I think that when that side does get considered, that this...
But before you click away, we need to talk about something that's been completely overlooked in all this madness. The insurance implications alone for hosting a UFC event at the White House are absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about liability coverage that would make your head spin, security protocols that involve multiple federal agencies, and risk assessments that go far beyond anything the UFC has ever dealt with. Think about it, you've got the Secret Service, the FBI, Homeland Security, and probably agencies we don't even know about all having to sign off on two professional fighters throwing hands on the most secure 18 acres in America. The paperwork alone probably weighs more than both fighters combined.
Grudge match, June 14, America's 250th birthday, Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor. What about that?
You think it's just so many possibilities, man.
But you understand, America's birthday, bring an Irish drunk guy to the White House, make sure he doesn't have any drugs on him or cocaine, fight Justin Gaethje, fight Conor, been running for all his life. But I think right now Conor's, I think right now he doesn't have options. Or listen, he can do whatever he wants, but I would love to see this fight. And I think, listen, I might not like Conor, but I think Conor was at one point, he was a really, really good fighter. And I cannot take this away from him, you know? But I believe it's level to this. And I believe now Justin Gaethje is on a different level. They're about the same.
And here's something nobody's considering: the international broadcasting nightmare this creates. Different countries have different relationships with American politics, and some networks might refuse to air an event so closely tied to the White House. We could be looking at the first major UFC event in years that actually loses international markets instead of expanding them. Dana White is basically betting the entire global appeal of this fight on the spectacle being bigger than any political concerns. That's either genius-level confidence or absolute insanity. And honestly, with Dana, it could go either way.
More championship belts than Gaethje. Honestly, this fight should have happened a long time ago. Be honest with you, but it never happened. But it is what it is, you know. Can you imagine? You think, what's a bigger fight than Conor McGregor versus Justin Gaethje?
Dude, that would be an amazing fight. And I know you said a number of times it almost came together.
I want to come together because I don't think Conor, he wanted to fight Justin. Justin Gaethje is named Conor, you know, so they want to fight with him. He has too much to lose, but having fun. If this is what he wants, if I was a fighter, that's the fight I'll fight.
Now let's talk about what this means for the other fighters on the card, because you know they're not just going to have McGregor fight solo at the White House. Every single fighter who gets selected for this event instantly becomes part of American political history. Their kids are going to see footage of their parents fighting on the same grounds where presidents have made decisions that shaped the world. But here's the catch: every fighter also becomes a political target. Win or lose, they're going to be associated with this administration forever. Some fighters are going to embrace that, others are going to run from it like their careers depend on it.
The opponent, Dana says it's not Conor, so we'll see who it is.
Do you have a preference if it's not Conor? Obviously, I know you want to fight Conor, but
I mean, obviously that's the fight. That's the fight to me that makes the most sense when it comes to Occam's razor. Like, the most obvious choice should be the choice. The most obvious solution should be the solution. We've already got the build-up. We've already got the backdrop. We've already got the animosity. We've already got the footage. But with that being said, if it's not him, I mean, I think I've kind of gotten into a point too where there's this rejuvenation also, where you're like, hey, obviously I've had my sights set on that, and if that's kind of the letdown and that doesn't happen, man, like, I want big fights. I want to get back in there and fight a top guy. I want to get back in there. I don't think my last performance was indicative of my actual skill set and my fire and my passion for the sport, just for some outside circumstances. But man, I don't have a preference, but I want a big fight, you know? So we'll see what happens in March. Max versus Charles. Armin's out there always talking about people.
That's true.
But I mean, these are not fights that I necessarily deserve, right? We're in this sport where you're like, hey man, you just lost your last fight. You can't go out there and fight number 2 next. But man, I just hold it like this. Whatever comes my way, comes my way. But hopefully Conor at the White House.
Yeah.
Just don't ask Dana.
But wait, there's something even bigger happening that connects to McGregor's recent legal troubles. Multiple legal experts are pointing out that having McGregor fight at the White House while he's dealing with ongoing court cases sends a very specific message about redemption and second chances. This isn't just sports entertainment anymore. This is political messaging wrapped in MMA gloves. The optics of giving McGregor this platform while he's working through his legal issues either shows incredible faith in his character transformation or represents a massive miscalculation that could blow up in everyone's faces. And speaking of blowing up, let's address the elephant in the room that everyone's dancing around. McGregor's trash talk game has always pushed boundaries, but how does that work when you're literally standing on the White House lawn? The man who threw a dolly through a bus window, who's made careers out of psychological warfare, suddenly has to operate within the confines of presidential decorum. Either we're going to see a completely neutered version of McGregor, or we're about to witness the most inappropriate pre-fight press conference in political history. There's literally no middle ground here. Here's where the business gets really interesting, though. Ticket prices for this event are rumored to be unlike anything we've ever seen in combat sports. We're not talking about your typical pay-per-view pricing structure. Sources are suggesting that attendance might be limited to invited guests, high-level donors, and people with serious political connections. This could literally be the first UFC event where your bank account matters less than your political Rolodex. Imagine explaining to hardcore MMA fans that they can't buy their way into the biggest fight of the decade because they don't have the right political connections. Now here's something that's going to blow your mind about the training camps. McGregor claims he's training harder than ever, but where exactly do you prepare for fighting at the White House? Do you train on the actual grounds? Do you get Secret Service clearance for your entire team? What happens if McGregor wants to bring his usual entourage of coaches, training partners, and hangers-on? We're talking about background checks, security clearances, and approval processes that could take months. The logistics of just getting everyone cleared to there could be more complicated than the actual fight preparation. But let's dive deeper into what this means for McGregor's legacy, because this is either the most brilliant career move in combat sports history or the beginning of the end for his credibility as a serious fighter. If he wins at the White House, he's not just a champion, he's a piece of American history. But if he loses, he's the guy who got beaten up on the president's lawn in front of the entire world. There's no coming back from that kind of public failure. The stakes aren't just about winning or losing anymore. They're about how history remembers Conor McGregor. And here's something that's keeping UFC executives up at night. What happens if this fight gets political protesters? We're talking about the White House, the most protested location in America. Do they shut down Pennsylvania Avenue? Do they create protest zones? How do you handle thousands of people who might show up just to demonstrate against the event itself? The security costs alone could end up being more expensive than the fighters' purses combined. This isn't just a sporting event anymore. It's a potential national security situation. Let's talk about the media circus this is creating behind the scenes. ESPN, Fox Sports, and every major sports network are trying to figure out how to cover an event that's part sports, part politics, part entertainment, and part historical moment. Do you send your sports reporters or your political correspondents? How do you maintain journalistic objectivity when you're literally broadcasting from the White House? Some networks might end up boycotting the event entirely just to avoid the political implications, which could actually hurt the UFC's media relationships for years to come. But here's the part that's really going to shock you. Multiple sources are suggesting that this White House fight might not be a one-time thing. There are rumors about turning this into an annual event, possibly coinciding with major American holidays or political milestones. Imagine 4th of July fights at the White House becoming a regular thing. We could be looking at the birth of an entirely new category of combat sports, where political spectacle and athletic competition merge into something that's never existed before. That's either evolution or the complete commercialization of American democracy, depending on your perspective. Now let's address what this means for the other major promotions. Bellator, One Championship, and PFL are all watching this White House situation very carefully. If the UFC successfully pulls this off, it sets a precedent that government venues are available for combat sports. But it also creates a bar that's literally impossible to match. How do you compete with the White House? Do other promotions start reaching out to foreign governments? Are we going to see fights at Buckingham Palace or the Kremlin next? The UFC might be accidentally starting an international arms race for the most prestigious fighting venues on Earth. And here's something that's absolutely wild about the broadcasting technology they're having to develop. The White House has communication systems and security protocols that interfere with normal broadcasting equipment. They're literally having to engineer new technology just to get clean audio and video feeds from this location. We're talking about millions of dollars in research and development just to broadcast one fight. The technical innovations they create for this event could end up changing how all major sporting events are produced in the future. But let's get back to the fighters for a second, because the psychological pressure of performing at the White House has to be unlike anything these guys have ever experienced. You're not just fighting for a title or money or bragging rights. You're fighting while the entire weight of American political symbolism is crushing down on your shoulders. Some fighters thrive under pressure, but this is pressure that goes beyond sports. This is performing while representing American values, political ideologies, and cultural identity all at the same time. Here's where it gets really crazy, though. The international implications of this fight could affect American foreign policy in ways that nobody's even considering. How do you think other world leaders are going to react to America hosting combat sports at the White House? Some countries might see it as a sign of strength and cultural confidence. Others might view it as inappropriate or undignified for a head of state's residence. The UFC might accidentally be creating diplomatic incidents just by choosing this venue. And speaking of international reactions, let's talk about what this means for McGregor's relationship with Ireland. He's essentially becoming the face of American political entertainment while representing Irish fighting heritage. That's a complicated position that could affect how he's perceived in his home country. Irish fans might see this as McGregor selling out his roots for American political theater, or they might view it as him conquering the ultimate American stage. Either way, his relationship with Irish culture and identity is going to be forever changed by this event. So here's my final question, and this is the one that's going to determine whether this whole thing is brilliant or completely insane. Are we watching the evolution of combat sports into something bigger and more culturally significant? Or are we watching the UFC jump the shark in the most spectacular way possible? Because there's no middle ground here. This White House fight either launches combat sports into a completely new era of cultural relevance, or it becomes a cautionary tale about what happens when sports and politics get too intertwined. And honestly, I'm not sure even Dana White knows which way this is going to go. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is changing every single day, and we're all just along for the most insane ride in combat sports history.